going on, guys? It's Lewis here with Crypto Elite. Today's date is January 19th, 2020. It's going to start this off as report 1. Really, it's report 50, but whatever. Anyway, it's been a minute since I did a crypto report. I've been just very, 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 very preoccupied right now. Lots of family issues going on. So, and I'm sure you guys know me. I love this stuff. So unless it's very serious, I would be 100% doing this all the time. So it was pretty serious, and that's why I had to not do a crypto report in a while, but I have been updating in the Telegram group, and we did have this little inverted head and shoulders, and it popped off. So that's really, really good. And I remember, I think it was somewhere around here where it was either, I said like take profit in this zone. It's too early to tell. And then of course it popped up above it. So if I go down to once it popped up above it, like right around here, that was pretty much confirmation to go long. So hopefully you guys were long, at least in something, because pretty much everything went up across the board. I've been in ZRX. I'm pretty heavy in ZRX right now. Continuing to just average in just all the time, just because I think that it's going to have a ridiculously big run up this year, because I believe it's going to introduce staking. But we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to go talk about a whole bunch of stuff later on. Right now it is 12:12 in the morning. I'm literally just now getting some time in weeks now that I've been dealing with different issues. I've been moving. I have to help my dad move. I had to find him a house. I had to deal with a lot of family drama and do a lot of other things. So this is what's going on now. Let's start off. What I like to do is, for everyone who's new here, is I like to do an analysis. This is called the crypto report, which you could see. Let me get this down 1 second here. Okay, so this is the crypto report, and basically it has a whole bunch of charts on it. And you could click this, you could click on these things, and it brings you to the chart, right? So click on it, opens it up, and boom, now you have the chart. So I like to do this once a week, but obviously it's been pretty hectic. So what I do is I wrote out, and I have 5 to 10 points right here, numbered lists at the top. And this is the major thing, I guess, high time frame for every coin, that I do, right? So just Bitcoin, for example, and I will put this like this. Well, before I even get into this, before I even talk, go through these points, I start off on the weekly, and then I go down to the daily, and then I may or may not choose to go down to the 4-hour, depending on the situation at hand. But looking at this, I have this and I have this. So these are two things. So obviously if this is a box weekly, I should say weekly. Obviously if there's a box and it says weekly points, you want to look at the weekly points first. So the weekly points, this was on 12/16. So this was back here. And what I'll do is I'll do the replay at 12/16 to see where we were. All right. So I had the stock RSI, looks like it's gaining a little bit of momentum, so that's bullish. The MACD histogram also looks like it's gaining a little bit of momentum, that's bullish on the weekly. RSI looks like it's gaining a little bit of momentum, but nothing concrete. And the directional movement momentum for the bears is fading. So there's a lot of, I guess you could say, confluences or signals saying that around in this area, the bulls were, or I guess the bears were losing steam, right? That's where this was at this point in time. And then on the big text box, I go through what this was. So firstly, Bitcoin moved up to 20,000. That was this move right here, clearly. Then Bitcoin moved down to 3,156. That was this move right here. Finally, Bitcoin moved back up to 3,917. 970. That was this right here. Finally, Bitcoin moved down to 7,300 in this move down right here. And that was 61.8% of the move up. So taking the Fibonacci from the bottom to the top, 61.8%. And this is exactly, I got in right here. And some of you may remember, some of you may not, but I said get in right here. We got in right here at the very bottom of this wick and rode it up. Anyway, that was 61.8% of this move up. So we got in there. And then it went up to 10,370 in just a few days. And that was due to bouncing off of the 61.8. And the news from China, the bullish news from China. Now Bitcoin is on its way back down. So Bitcoin was on its way back down there. And we had all of the bullish not bullish signals, but signals that the bears were waning right here. And then of course, I updated in the group chat. So after I go through here, after I write this down, the big picture, then I have the date. Okay, so let me put this date over here. This was 12/16, so now it is 01/19, right? So I'll have the date. But back on the 16th, it was basically support and resistance. Okay, before I say what it is, I want to say I follow the trading cheat sheet that I put together, and you could find that in the course. So I have support and resistance first. That's the first thing that I look at. And then I look at the trend, and then I look at the Fibonacci, and then I look at the RSI and stock RSI, and then I look at the MACD, and then I look at the directional movement. I plot out the important areas, and then based off of all of these things, I say, how many bearish factors are there versus how many bullish factors are there. And then I say what the important areas are and usually what I'll be doing. And of course, this was before a few days later when I switched to a bias of being long, and I said you should stack your buys in. But regardless, that's the way I do it, and I go through every single coin, and that's it. That's what it is. So let me just do this real quickly. So it did go down, and then this was the week where I had to stop. I had to start helping my dad. So it went down a second week, and then it went up. Let me put the speed on here real quickly. Let me just play it. So we have this, and then this is where the boom, and then that's where the inverted head and shoulders was, and then at that point is the long signal. And after that, we just had that crazy rally up, and this is where I was like, yeah, you should take profits here. And then once it went above and it stayed above, then it was like, okay, well, it's above here and it stayed above, it broke through and it stayed above the resistance. So when price breaks through and breaks above the resistance, that is a signal to go long, basically, if it stays there. So if you're trading and you notice that it goes, the price bumps up against resistance, you know, like this bumped up against resistance, and it didn't really have well, it had the hard push back, which was good, so you sell it, right? But then you notice that it bumps up again. And so now it had this bump, and then it had another bump right here, and then it had another bump right here. So it's basically, this is a little secret, not a secret, but this is a way to trade, is if you notice that the price is staying above the 38.2. See, this went up here, right? And it stayed above the 38.2 and it just stayed there. That's a bullish sign. It's bouncing against resistance. It wants to break through. So that's a hint in your own trading. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could see this being, and I could see this being 3 waves, but that's a whole nother story. So let's look at the first thing to do. Actually, you know, I started out saying that I look at the weekly first, but I actually look at the monthly first. Hopefully my computer will be able to handle this much load that I'm putting on it. All right, good. It does. So I look at the monthly first, and this is what I do. I plot out my major resistance levels and major support levels. The major ones go with the white line. White lines are major. And then I have red boxes indicating the major resistance points. Like right here, I'm going to sell right here because it's a major resistance point. So basically I always sell when there's a major resistance, and I always buy when there's a major support. So in the support, I have the white line and I have a green box in the major supports. Then I have minor supports and resistances. So the major ones are monthly, weekly, and if it's congested in the daily, those are all major supports, like tops and bottoms and stuff like that, right? So clearly on the monthly chart, you could see why this is the major resistance. You could see why this is the major resistance, 1, 2, 3 touches right here. You could see why this is the major support, 1, 2, 3 right here. And you could see why this is also a major support right here. It's because of all of these touches. This is the $6,000, $6,000 support right there. So we have all of the major supports and resistances plotted out. Let's see if we could see any other ones just from this chart right here. And the great thing about major supports and resistances is that they really don't change. Like you plot them out and then they're just part of your chart pretty much for the rest of the time until they are, well, not even until they're broken, because then they just flip from support to resistance or from resistance to support. So major levels are pretty key. I'm looking at this, and what you do is you plot them out on the monthly, right? But then you have to go down into the smaller time frames, into the weekly. But you should start off on the monthly. And so this, you could see, this is clearly a big area. It's clearly a big area right here. All of this support, and then some resistance right here. So I think I could actually raise this up just a little, at least a little bit, like to right around this area, 9,500. And can I bring it back to be here? I think that's a reasonable thing to do. You could see there was the resistance right here, and then there was, I don't really want to count that. But there was support right here, and then support right here. And then finally it broke down and there was the resistance right here. It tried to pop back up, but it couldn't make it up past 9,500, somewhere between 9,500 and 10,000 level is very, very big. Support, resistance. And then there was this area right here at the lower end, 9,300. That was the resistance where it stopped. And then it flipped into support. And then it dumped it and then tried to regain it. Couldn't regain it. So it was resistance. And now we're coming into the resistance. And this is on the weekly. So if you ask me, this should be a major resistance. This is a major resistance level. Do I have it in red like this? Yes, I do. So let me just plot this out really quickly. This right here is a major resistance level. So this is how I do it. This is how I plot them out, right? And on top of that, I'm not sure. This should be brought to front. All right, good, it is. So on top of that, I also like to use the Fibonacci to see if the support and resistance levels line up with anything. Well, right off the bat, I could see that if you use the Fibonacci from the bottom to the top, it lines up with 38.2. So that's one thing, I guess you could say. Then if you do it from the top to the bottom, was this the bottom or was this the bottom? This was the bottom. Yeah, if you do it from the top to the bottom, there's a 38 right there. Or if you do it from basically this type of bottom, 9,600. Yeah, 9,600 is the level, 95, 96 of this bottom right here, all of this bottom. You could do it to the wick and 9,300 would be it, but I would rather do it to this body. That's just, whether you do it to the wick or the body is just something that comes with time, where you just do it over and over and over and over and over again, and then you just use your intuition to just determine. So 9,600 is to me a major resistance, and I would look for shorts. 9,500. Yeah, 9,500. I would look for shorts. Wait, I want that back up there. Anywhere around here is what I would do. Let me see if there's anything else that I could think of. Not really, or that I could see. Okay, well, the other thing that I looked at is I had this orange line. So orange is minor resistance. Okay, so orange is minor resistance. And then light green or light blue or light teal is minor support. So that's the difference in colors right there. Major resistance is dark red. Minor resistance is orange. Major resistance is dark green. Major support is dark green, and minor support is this light teal, I suppose you could say. So obviously we busted through all of this really nicely. And how much more till 9,600? Got about 5%, 4.45%, 4.4% until we get to 9,600. So the question is, do you want to look for shorts around this area, or do you only want to long because it's looking more bullish at this point, right? We had a inverse head and shoulders looking situation, and now it's looking bullish. So potentially this was potentially the bottom. Do I think it was the bottom? That's a question that not particularly. No, I don't think that I just don't think that this was the bottom because I think that 7,300, 72.87 to 61.8. Usually what happens is if it's the bottom, it hits that on the mark. But this went underneath. And it didn't bounce off the 78.6. It never reached the 78.6 level, right? So I just don't see how this, I mean, based off of Fibonacci. And the other thing is, though, usually there's 5 waves down, so I guess you could say it depends. This is a tough one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could be 5 waves down if you count that. From here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could technically be 5 waves down. But I don't know. I'm still sort of. I mean, technically, this was the high. This was the lower high. And now we're still underneath of this level at, 11,500, or even, this level on the daily, which is the 13,970. So we're in a weird place. We're in a downtrend, but did we hit the bottom of the downtrend? Because that's possible. At this point, I'm looking very short term, sort of bullish. I like this action. I think it's super bullish, but I could see, a little bit long, maybe it'll pump, but then I could see it also, going down after the pump. So that's what we're going to be dealing with right now, or at least that's what's in my head right now, especially considering, look at this. This is the 200-day moving average. When we're above the 200-day moving average, that is a pretty nice sign. That's a bullish sign. What I need to do is I need to check the 200-week, and that's why I have 2 graphs right here. This chart is specifically for the 200 weekly moving average. The other thing is that we did grab on the 200 weekly moving average back here, so I'm sort of looking for it to come back and just give it one more tap. That is something that I'm looking to have done. And I do believe if we put the log chart on, is that why I have this like this? There's also this, this chart, I could see it. Bring it down. This is a log chart, so this area does line up pretty well. Where's the 9,500, 9,600 region? Yeah, so this area does line up somewhat well with this whole situation here. Maybe the daily could give a little bit of a better view, but we will see. So there is this. Give me this right here. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, well, I suppose if you count it this way, we actually broke through. Yeah, we broke through this little top. So that's pretty bullish. I always like to think pretty deeply about these things because it's obviously an important concept to understand. You want to be right and you want to have thorough thoughts in this. Well, let's just look at the most simplest things. If you ever get confused while trading, you could always go back to the most simplest things, which are support and resistance levels. And it's just like, take a look. All of this support was congested support right here. All of it turned into resistance right here. Some resistance right here. Some support right here. So this is a key level. So you just take your profits. You just take your profits at this level. You know, we are at the daily 200, but we didn't get rejected from it super hard. We got rejected from it super hard for like a day or two, and now we're busting through it. So this is the level. And then once this breaks, man, like, all right, I guess we're off to the races at that point. Yeah, there is the $10,000 psychological number. So perhaps we could do this $10,000, psychological number, which is pretty big, but it's not as big, in my opinion, as this whole area, 95, 96, 97. Basically, honestly, it's basically 95,000 and 10,000 is the support and resistance. So can we please go back here, start doing this. And I'll do it on the daily as well, because it makes more sense. Or it's the weekly, you can't really, you use the weekly to trade, but you really use the daily to trade, or the 4 hour, because if you use the weekly, you might lose out on a lot of information, because it moves so quickly. So now, instead of back here was the 16th, right? So back here was 16, this was the minor support. It broke through the support, so that was bearish. But now it broke through the resistance, and it broke through the resistance, and then it broke through the resistance. And now it broke through this resistance. So it's broken through all of the resistances. That's bullish. So let me throw that down here. Broke through all of the resistances. Bullish. So what's the trend? Moving averages, higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, and trend lines? Well, clearly up, down, up, down, up. It's higher, higher low, and now it's on its way up again. Before we had high, lower 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 high, and then boom, we finally had a higher high, a higher high than this high. That was the first sign of the bullish move right here. And then it was a continuation pattern, which was good. Formed a triangle, a symmetrical triangle, which is a continuation pattern. So that's why there was that. Well, that's not why, but it gives a higher percentage of the pattern continuing. So we had this bull flag / well, it was really a triangle, and it went up. It continued the bullish move up, and then we had a very, very quick, basically, stop at the resistance level, and it just consolidated at the resistance level, which, like I said before, is bullish. And now it had another move up. So bullish, 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 bullish. That's good. And I would say the other thing is that the price is above the moving average. So it's an uptrend because it's above both of the moving averages. Okay. And it's riding the moving averages, and it's in an uptrend. So what you do is trend, moving averages, and trend lines. So before it was under, but now it's over 200. So now it's bullish. Before it was under, now it is over the EMAs. So that's bullish. Lower highs and lower lows. Well, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. So that is bullish. The Fibonacci, Fibonacci. How would you use the Fibonacci in this situation? What you would do, the first thing that you would do is you would take it from the top to the bottom. This is 31. It's at the 38.2. So, okay. Not the best. But I don't... Okay, see, I don't see anything lining up. So what I like to do with the Fibonacci is line it up to where it makes some sense, right? And so where it makes more sense to me. And usually I look at the 61.8 to see where the 61.8 lines up, because if that lines up with something, that's usually my indicator that it's a good price to put the Fibonacci at. But I'm not really getting much with the 61.8. However, I am getting this with the 38.2, which is basically right around here. So, moving on to the Fibonacci, I'm going to say the Fibonacci coming up to the 38.2, I guess you could say. Say Fibonacci coming up to the 38.2. That's going to be bearish, I guess you could say. Let me just check real quick, see if what happens if I bring this down here. Does the 61.8 line up with anything? Can't really get the best look at it. There's one other thing that I could do, which is check the Fibonacci extension and just see what would be going on. Nothing really is going on with that. So we have the Fibonacci, RSI, and Stoch RSI. So we have the RSI and Stoch RSI getting to be oversold. Getting to be overbought. So this is getting to be overbought. And well, not end, so it's in the extremes. The MACD though is going down, which is not good. That's never good, especially when it's like this. Well, just looking at this here, I gotta say that the RSI and Stoch RSI is overbought. I'm saying that's sort of bearish because in this scenario, it's bearish, but it's always bearish if it's not always bearish, but it's usually bearish if it's overbought. But like there are some scenarios where it'll just stay overbought. But I mean, it hasn't been overbought since back here. Like, and what happened here? Seriously, it was overbought and it still went up. Another 30% almost. Yeah. And this is when it started to get, whoa, hold up. yeah, it started to get overbought right around here. So right around this area, yeah. And still went up. And then there was this where it was overbought right here, but it still managed to pop up again one more time. And then even though it fell and even though it was falling, the price does go down with the bearish divergences, but it just started skyrocketing again once the RSI cooled off enough. So anyway, did the RSI just change, by the way? I'm pretty sure the RSI oh wait, no. Okay. Need to zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so we are oversold. I mean, sorry, we are overbought. We are overbought, but that's not necessarily the most. It's not like you don't buy it just because the RSI is overbought, you know? You have to look at the entire context of the situation. So, but we do have that, and it is always slightly bearish whenever the RSI is overbought. Same thing with the Stotch. That's overbought as well, and it's on its second. So that's bearish. It's on its second run up, and it doesn't really even look as good as it did right here. Same thing. It's like same thing what happened right here, where it came up and it was up and it was above, and then the price, well, here it made sense because the Stotch RSI was lower and the price was lower, but here the Stotch RSI is looking lower, but the price is higher than where it was right here, right? So that's pretty much a bearish divergence on the Stotch RSI. So that's bearish. There's not one, however, on the regular RSI. So okay, so we got the Stotch RSI as a bearish divergent forming. MACD though, so this is the MACD. This is not a bearish divergence on the MACD, right? But it is not the best. It's not the best. So I'm gonna say MACD. Let's see. What did I say before? Just broke the zero line. It looks like it's at the beginning of the W, slope is down. This broke the zero line up here, and now it is obviously 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's an M. It looks like this top. It looks like the tops are exactly the same. Yeah, so it looks like the tops are exactly the same, except the price. Sorry, that was my timer. Except the price is much higher, so it looks like it's topping out. Like, unless some news happens, it just, I guess, gotta say that. Looks like it's topping out. Directional movements. The directional movement, negative line is below. Directional movement is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Why would I lie? You know. So directional movement, negative line is above positive line, but this one, the negative line is below the positive line, so that's bullish. Plus ADX is slightly rising. How's the ADX doing right here? It's still slightly rising, so that's bullish. All right, so it's like how many bearish things did I pull up and how many bullish things did I pull up? Well, if I look at it, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish things. So there's put this as 5. And bearish, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Bearish, I have 4. So it's looking more bullish than bearish, but it's coming up to a very key, you know, support resistance level right here, 95 to 1000. So it's like, what would be the RR from here? What would be the smartest move? The smartest move is to short resistances or sell resistances, right? And then to buy supports. So shorting this would be the next best move. And then if it closes above it, then you would long. Okay, so optional trade setup. Short the previous resistance of 9,500 to 10,000. Boom. Stop level would be, I mean, essentially it would be 10,400, but that's pretty nuts. So maybe the 4 hour could give us a little bit of a better place to stop. Because I think there's going to be a wick up here. Bet you there's going to be a wick coming up here, and then the price will drop back down to this level, which is this previous support. All of this support bundled up right here, you know? That's what I'm thinking. Can we get the price to show up? Computers being super slow. I would really like a new computer. So here it is. So this is what I'm thinking. Price comes up here, and then it pops back down. Something like that. And that would make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would essentially make. I'm no expert at Elliott waves, you know, but that's what I would say. Something like that. And then we would have 3 waves down, something like, you know, something like that. Or maybe we would go down a little bit. Maybe we would go down further, but we just seem to be bullish. And if this was the bottom, then no one would be selling. Like there'd be, or a lot more people would be buying around this area, right? So that's another thing you could do, I guess, would be to buy right here. But if you did that and the price comes down, then if it comes all the way back down here, that wouldn't necessarily be the best thing, because if it came down and it went like that, well, what is this? You know, that would be a head and shoulders. So that's my plan. I'm going to take profits. I'm going to stack all my profits between 9,500 and 10K. And then I'm going to open up a short at 95 to 10, somewhere in between there. Put my stop somewhere around like 10,100, you know? So maybe like 4 to 5%. So I'm gonna say short up previous with a stub of I don't know, 10,100 ish, somewhere around there. That seems like a solid play to me. And let me just bring this back. Okay. There you go. Maybe I could bring this a little further back and pretty much have everything. So what I do is I save this and I copy this and then I edit and I paste and I paste and I click OK, I click enter, and we're good to go. So when it opens it up, now it has this. And you know what? It's almost 1 in the morning. I'm pretty exhausted right now. Hopefully I'll have some more time tomorrow and I'll start going over everything else. And I'm going to try to go through as many coins as I can. I'm just going to try to do that this week just so we get caught up. But this is basically a nice refresher for some people on the crypto report. And then it's also a good introductory into the crypto report for all of the new members. So definitely, I hope you learned some today. And I will continue to update the group. And, if you see a good trade, if you see good trades, I know Link has been showing some being extremely bullish. There is also EOS I've been hearing a lot. Look at how insanely bullish this has been. So there's a lot of action going on right now. Did my thing hit? Look at how fucking unbelievable. So this was my trade setup right here, was to buy at this blue line. So close. So freaking close. I was gonna stack orders here, and here. Anyway, that's EOS, and I know. Let me get Link up here. Right now, I'm more bullish on these big ones. Maybe even Tron, but really the big names is what I'm looking at. Sucks because a lot of them are up, but if you could find solid, it's like, would you buy this? Would you really buy this at this point? You think it's gonna just keep on moving up? Like maybe, but like it wouldn't be the wisest decision to buy it at this level. Now that I'm looking at this right here, like the wise decision is like this was laid out before any of this happened, right? So the wise decision would be to, if it broke this level, then you grab it at the support, at the resistance turn support, right? That would be, and then you sell it right here. This is where I would sell. This is where I would be selling. If I had any Link, I would be selling Link. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go through a few things. Let's look at ETH. ETH was one that I said I was stacking all the way down to 151, I think is what I said. So I do have some ETH right now. I stacked a whole bunch of ETH. 163, 162, 161, 160, 159, 158, and then none of the rest got filled. But that's why I stack orders down, just in case that happens. Yeah, so we're coming up against 200 day. It's a tough one because the market's starting to look bullish, but it's not bullish until there's higher highs, higher lows, until it breaks an actual level. But like I said before, if you see it, like this is the resistance, right? So I labeled that out. So like I said before, if you see something come up and just like do this, like it's a good idea to get in because it's probably going to go up again and do this, you know? Who knows? And so that's what I would be looking for, coins that are doing that, or one of the coins, one of the top coins, see if they have some type of pattern, like a bull flag or a continuation pattern, a continuation triangle pattern. It's funny how, you know, a lot of these coins look exactly the same. Like it doesn't it doesn't matter which one you get in, but it's like, look at this. This is EOS. What happened? All right, popped up, and now it's doing that. Look at BNB. If it wants to show me BNB. I gotta get a new computer. This one's using a lot of memory. Anyway, the point is, you know, basically every coin right now is going up and doing that. The majors. Let me see what the miners are looking like. The other thing that I want to mention is that I am pretty much opening up a margin. Well, I opened up a margin trading account in Binance. So I gotta say, I really don't condone margin trading. I don't like margin trading unless you're very experienced at actually trading. However, I opened one up and I'm going to be, that's one of the goals for 2020 is to basically show you how to margin trade. Although it's super easy with Binance, super easy. And they have a Binance Academy. So you could pretty much learn everything you need to know. That's how I learned it. And there's only one, I think there's just one video. I think that's about it. The other thing that I want to say right now, can you work, please? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, so the other thing that I want to say is that Bitcoin apparently has a negative funding rate, which means that the longs, basically people are being paid to long it as opposed to being paid to short it. So that does make it seem like it's going to move up right now. So like I said, short term. So it makes sense. So what I said makes sense. Move up short term and then bounce back down. Now, can we go to different things? But look, it's like everything's the same thing. Everything went up. So this is why crypto markets are not diversified. Like, you're not diversified if you're just in like 50 different coins, you know? Because look at this. Every single coin went up in unison. Everything happened on the same day. That all happens on the same day. Like, sometimes there's laggards by like a few hours, you know? So if you could get that, if you could find the laggards by a few hours, then you're good in that regard. But a lot of the times you're just not going to get it because it simply doesn't, it simply happens too quickly, or like you'll be, every single coin pumps at the same time. I guess I'll just do just the other thing about ZRX. Like I mentioned, ZRX updated their mainnet to version 3.0 that allows staking. So just like how Tezos. So when did Tezos allow staking? If I go up here, you'll be able to see it. It all happened. All right, guys, my thing is just being a little too slow, so I actually don't want to just go through all of these. I mean, I don't want to extend this anymore. I was supposed to stop it 10 minutes ago, but I just keep on talking. It's funny how look at how red all of these coins are, except for a few in the major situations. But most of these today have been actually very, very red. So that's why I'm sticking with them. So I think the majors, Bitcoin's your best bet. Ethereum's really good. But let's just choose I just want to choose a random one. I just want to choose, like, I don't know. Fucking Strat. Let's do Strat. You know, these are still anything. I'm sorry. Anything against Bitcoin. You see, all of this is against Bitcoin. Did that thing hit? Damn, that sucks. It's fucking. This is what I was trying to do. I knew that this was gonna happen. I keep on missing it by such little percentage points, and it's just 2%, 2.88%, basically 3% that I missed this entry versus a 55% gain. Anyway, that's trading for you. You're not going to get everything. For sure, definitely not going to get anything. Let's just check a couple more. Sorry, I'm like checking way too much right now. When I get some free time, I'm going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to take, my 5-10 hours and get back to it. But I hope this one was informative and this one was still good. I think it was pretty good myself. So talk to y'all later. Definitely keep everyone updated in the Telegram group, and hope you're having a good 2020 so far. And I'll talk to y'all later.